Hello and welcome to this evening time, late afternoon, evening time taste challenge. I have still daylight there though. I have two 40% alcohol tequila products. I'll explain what that means. Tequila products. This is Winn-Dixie imported premium tequila silver from NOM 1143, which is Gonzalez and Gonzalez distillery in Mexico. Winn-Dixie was established in 1955 with the merger of Winn grocery stores and Dixie grocery stores. Now, whether this goes back to 1955, this I do not know. I know it goes back decades, maybe that long, because I can remember private label whiskey and beer. They used to have beer in Winn-Dixie back in those days. 1970s, 80s, 90s. Used to be glass bottles. Yeah, there used to be a private label Winn-Dixie beer, but that's gone. It was made by I think it was made by Falstaff, but they tried to obscure that. You know, they used some alias name. There was a private label Rouse's beer a few years ago called Can Do Lager. That didn't last. I thought it was pretty good, actually, but most people probably wouldn't give it a chance. This is El Toro, premium El Toro silver. This is not the same product as the other bottle I had yesterday called imported El Toro silver tequila. So this is not a tequila. This is a tequila with natural flavors. So if you pin down the company, they would say, we never said it was a tequila. We said it was a tequila with natural flavors. They're focused. So if you find El Toro, it'll say imported El Toro silver tequila. Fine, that's from 1143, and Gonzalez and Gonzalez is nothing added. Well, it's a mixto, so it could have up to 49% non-agave filler liquor, but still legally a tequila, as long as it doesn't go above 49%. I'm not saying I recommend doing that. I'm just saying that's allowed. I don't make the laws. I don't make the regulations. But I can tell you what they say. It's like blended bourbon. You can go to a store and buy, assuming they sell it, a blended bourbon. It may be up to 49% grain spirits, unaged, or as we call it, moonshine. Of course, diluted down to 80%. 80 proof. But that's allowed. And it would be a true bourbon, a true blended bourbon. All right. Which is a type of whiskey. Well, here's the Winn-Dixie website. You see the silver and gold, silver and gold. I'll click on the silver. $18.99 until January 5th next week. Only at Winn-Dixie. That would make sense since it's a private label brand. And Winn-Dixie was bought by Aldi, of all people. Yes, Aldi bought Winn-Dixie in 2024, and I don't know what's going to happen now, but obviously a lot of changes. But this is a pure tequila, no coloring or flavoring added. It's not a tequila with natural flavors. You can only buy it, like I said, there, and you have to go in no curbside or delivery. And you got to have you to buy it. Well, that sort of makes sense. Okay. John Mallory says, cheers, Jay. Cheers back to you, Jamie. Jaime Torres says, I see you're having a pre-New Year party without me. Well, mostly New Year's Eve to me is going to church. I usually go to church, mass, New Year's Eve, because I don't want to wait around for New Year's Day mass because they always do it late because I guess the priest is staying up late. So I'll go tomorrow. I only drink lagers and liquor. Okay, well, may as well drink what you like. You know me, I drink all kind of stuff, but yeah, what the heck, drink what you want. Do I have this camera? Oh yeah, I had it too far over that way. All right, so they're both clear, look like water, but they don't taste like water, and they don't affect you like water. I know this has been on the market since 1959. This much I do know. I don't know about this flim flam tequila with natural flavors. I don't think that's been around too long. That's the reason I bought it. The reason I bought it is because it looked strange, and I was like, "What is?" My eye like, and like, it's not the same thing. I say this is not the same thing as that El Toro I bought, and actually, it's not. And I kept looking at the bottle. I was like, "Where's the NOM? The numero origin Mexico, the number of origin in Mexico?" It didn't say it. It just said bottled by Barton Imports, Owensboro. And so I called the company. I actually called Sazerac or Buffalo Trace. I'm not sure what this code means. 1 liter bottle. I only paid like $8.99. I said, it doesn't have an NOM. I said, could this tequila be made in the United States? And the man said, oh, no, no, no. The man on the phone said, you can't make tequila anywhere but Mexico. He said, so it has to be from, if it says tequila, it has to be from Mexico. I said, yeah, but this says tequila with natural flavors. And then the guy at Buffalo Trace said, yeah, well, they just take tequila from Mexico and they add the flavor and they put it in the bottle. I said, well, don't they have to have a NOM, N-O-M? Isn't that required on the label? He said, actually, he said, hold on a minute. And I can hear him talking to somebody. He said, I got to talk to my tequila expert. He said, I'm the bourbon expert. He said, no, actually, they don't have to put it, but they usually do, but it's not actually required. I said, okay. Am I supposed to control 6 cats? It's like a jungle in my apartment. I don't know what to tell you. I'll tell you their names are Gabriella, Angelica, Snowball, Moose, and Mama, Mustard, and Thunder. Okay, too many cats. One was enough for me. I had one cat here, and she tore the screen on the back and did all kind of other damage. And she was having fun, but it was still no fun to me. All right. Poor old Orangey. Aroma. Okay. Jason Cleveland says, have you had Pancho Villa? I think I've heard of that tequila, but I've never had it. And I don't think I've seen it sold around here, but I've heard of it. Oh, it might be here or there, but I honestly, I don't think I could find it. If I went looking for it tomorrow, I probably wouldn't find it. But I might find it. Yeah, this smells like agave with maybe something else. But this one's got a weird, I don't know, there's something. It's like what is that aroma? It's like a moss. I don't know about Spanish moss or a mold. John Mallory says drinking Coors Light. So that's interesting. I don't know. Do I think it's okay for them to add flavoring, natural flavors to tequila? Well, I don't guess it's okay, but they do it in beer, they do it in wine, they do it in other liquor, so they're not going to stop. I just bought some very expensive beer that has chocolate and coffee in it. Chocolate and coffee. And that was very expensive. It wasn't like some little cheap flavor malt beverage. It is a flavor malt beverage, but it was so high. Oh, so very expensive. It's over 70 degrees here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I've been there. What scares you about trying a grain alcohol like Everclear? If you're a pro, you should have no problem with it. I've tried something like that before. I'm not interested in it. I'm not scared of it. I don't care about it. It's just uncut grain alcohol. I tried that at the distillery in Barton 1792 distillery. I like the colors, vanilla taste, and their golden water. I don't know what that means. Okay. Oh, Coors. I find it has a banana flavor. All right. Now it's time to taste. Got to go on with the show. Agave. Get that spicy black pepper, agave, succulent plant fiber thing. Yeah. Could there be something else? Oh, there's definitely something else because these are mixtos, and one is a mixto with flavoring. Yes, cheers. Um, I didn't understand what you were writing there, but it was a misprint. Does it taste good? Well, it tastes all right. It's got a lot of wateriness to it. I can't sit here and say, oh, it's a bad flavor. That tastes bad. It's disgusting. I hate it. Oh, it's so gross. Oh, I'm so dramatic. Look at me, YouTube. No, I'm just saying, it's just kind of plain. It's plain. I bought it, right? But I buy it again. I wouldn't buy it again because I don't need to. Theoretically, I'll probably just try something else. Still a cold Miller High Life for the win. Yeah, good old Miller High Life. All right, over here. Do I prefer tequila or mezcal? Says KS. Hi, Ron. Do you prefer? Mm. Well, tequila is a type of mezcal. You understand? Tequila is a mezcal. It's just a particular type. It is a particular type. I've had people ask me that question before, like, it's gotten dark now. I've had people ask me, do you prefer whiskey or bourbon? Well, I mean, bourbon is a whiskey. So I don't know how to really, I'm not trying to be flip or sarcastic. I don't know how really to answer that question. But I like them both. I like mezcal and I like the tequila version of mezcal, that particular type. I think that's a fair answer. This has the pepperiness, the medium. They both have a medium body, mostly dry finish, not totally dry, mostly dry finish. They have that agave nectar. I mean, they're probably both from the same distillery, 1143, Gonzales y Gonzales, in Jalisco, Mexico. I think it's Jalisco. Um, they're both bottled in Kentucky, Frankfurt, Buffalo Trace. But one of these has flavoring added. So it is not technically a true tequila. It is not a tequila. If you ask the company, is this a tequila? They'd say absolutely not. And then your response would be, well, then what is it? They'd say it's a tequila with natural flavors. I bought some bourbon. Now, if you read your regulations, bourbon can never have flavoring added. But I bought two bourbons that say bourbon with natural flavors. And I just told you that was illegal. But if you pinned them down on it, you'd say, isn't it illegal to add flavor into bourbon? The company, Heaven Hill, Buffalo Trace, would say, absolutely. It's absolutely, totally, and unequivocally illegal. And you'd point at the bottle like Royal Bourbon. I think mine's all gone now. You say, well, what is that? They'd say, it's a bottle of liquor. But what is it? They'd say it's not a bourbon. Bourbon cannot have flavoring added. You say, well, what is it? They'd say it's a bourbon with natural flavors. Oh, man. It'd be right on the shelf, right there on the shelf. Chaos says, sorry, I forgot that tequila was a subcategory of mezcal. Yes, it is. That's a common mistake. Supposedly, the IRS is sending out $1,400 checks this week for people who did their taxes from 2021. Yeah, I read that story. That's true. But they got confused and they did not claim the 1,400. They never got it. I got it. I just took all that money and put it in the bank because I told people, I said, you got 1,400, 1,200, whatever it was. I said, all that's going to cause is all the prices. I said, let's say you got 28, 38, and 12, 4,000. Okay. Let's say you got $4,000 of free money from the government in 2020 and 2021. I was telling everybody at work, I said, you better save that money. Why? I said, because your grocery bills and everything are going to go up by about $4,000. I said, the money you just got, you're going to pay for it with higher grocery bills and everything. They didn't understand, but maybe by 2022, they understood a little bit. So I just put it away. And then when the prices went up through inflation, I came out even. I'm just saying that the TV news is reporting on their YouTube channel. I know it's true. It's a true story. I read it. I wonder if Aldi will rebrand the WD liquors to Aldi branded liquors. I was wondering the same thing. Well, they own Trader Joe's, and Trader Joe's sells liquor. I saw Trader Joe's limited, what do they call it? Trader Joe's premium or whatever. Limited release Irish whiskey, special release Irish whiskey. I wanted to buy it, and I'm going to try to buy it if they have any more. Well, there you go. Winn-Dixie has liquor, but Aldi itself, the Aldi grocery stores in America. Now in Europe, they got liquor all over. But in America, the Aldi sell wine and beer if they sell any liquor, and here they do. But no alcohol, no liquor or liqueur. But if they bought Winn-Dixie and they take over their liquor license, which they would take over by owning it, like you're saying, maybe they will. Maybe the next time I go to the store, it'll be called Aldi. But they never call their stuff Aldi, do they? It'll be like Brookhaven. Brookhaven tequila imported. You know what I'm saying? Or one of those other crazy names they use. County Square Tequila. I would think Aldi would have more clout than Winn-Dixie on getting cheaper prices from the distilleries that produce the liquors. Well, yeah, because Aldi's a worldwide company, one of the biggest grocery chains in the world. Winn-Dixie is a regional company that only stretches across the southeastern United States. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and a little bit of Georgia. That's it. Used to be Texas up to North Carolina, but that retracted. That's probably why they got bought. Aldi does like Sazerac. They cruise around looking for companies that maybe they're not doing as well as they could be, and they make them an offer they can't refuse. So they sell. And Aldi bought Winn-Dixie, meaning they bought Southern Grocers, because Southeastern Grocers owned Harvey's and Winn-Dixie. Two separate chains. I don't know anything about Harvey's, all right? I don't know if Harvey's has a pharmacy, hot deli, bakery. I don't know if they have a florist. I don't know if they have liquor. I don't know. Winn-Dixie has all those things. It's like a full-service grocery store. They have a hot deli. You can buy food. They have sushi guy. They used to have the pharmacy, but they made a deal with Walgreens to roll it over to them. They have the florist, the bakery, the liquor store. It's inside the store, but it's like a liquor section. It's like big. It's very big. And then they have the pretty big. And they have the beer, and then a huge wine shop. And a seafood. Oh yeah, that's right, raw seafood department. So I mean, Aldi doesn't have anything like that. So Aldi probably bought them maybe to like start doing that. There's got to be a reason. I mean, people ain't dying to go to some bare bones store where you don't even get a bag. I really dislike Anheuser-Busch products. Their beer is like drinking oil lantern fluid, says John Mallory. I haven't noticed that. Do you have any desire to purchase that new Jack's beer again? Not necessarily. It's not really a good price. It's just a regular old American style lager. I used to get Falstaff. I bought Falstaff in 1996 and it was $1.99 for a 6-pack. And it was good. And then it was actually better than the regular American beers. And then all the Falstaff breweries went out of business. They literally all shut down by the late 90s. I think it was 1997, the last Falstaff brewery shut down, wasn't it? 1997 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I know there was one in 1990 that closed down. Maybe that was Fort Wayne. There was another one in 97, but it didn't matter. I never saw it again. Bye-bye. And I called Pabst. I wrote an email to Pabst, and I said, why? I said, I can't find Falstaff anymore. And the lady said, well, unfortunately, it was discontinued in 2005. But why not? All the distilleries, all the breweries, I'll say distilleries, the breweries were closed. Hope you had a pleasant day. I did. I was at work for over 8 hours. Purchased the 6-pack of Winter Ride from Aldi today. Oh yeah, that's that one's. Well, I hope you enjoy it. Read an article. Mexico has a surplus of tequila. Hornitos is my go-to. Oh, I have a lot of Hornitos. The great Hornitos, the Black Barrel, the great Hornitos Black Barrel, and I have the Cristalino, which I bought for $10. True story. All right, let's get this done. JB's Hangout says, cheers, have you picked yet? I might be late. I haven't picked yet because people kept bringing up beer, wine, and liquor topics, and we started talking about it, and it's very interesting, so we never got anywhere except talking about the topics. I don't know. This one in my right hand seems a little sugary and a little bland. I don't get why Jackson, the former Faubourg, really Dixie, don't stick to a formula of producing cheap, decently made regional beer. They foolishly sell it at a premium craft beer price. They're crazy. And look, KS, you can forget Faubourg. They're gone. Their website link doesn't work anymore. You will see none of their beers on a shelf anywhere around New Orleans. They finished. They dead. They dead in the water. Dixie was doing all right before they got bought out. It wasn't doing great, but you could find it everywhere. And then the owner of the New Orleans Saints, I'm gonna save Dixie. I'm buying it. And then the people that sold it would still be a 25% owner of the company. Okay. So they bought it. What, 2018? Something like that. Then they built this brand new brewery in New Orleans. Brand new. Jean Pierre and David and I went there the day it opened. Big deal. It was a big deal. A year later, they're no longer going to make Dixie beer. It's got bad connotations because people think Dixie means the South. Well, yeah. But that if you said that, that would mean you were ignorant because you don't even know what a DIX is. That's a $10 bill written in French. But so they decided in 2021 we're going to change it to Faubourg. It's going to be the new and improved Faubourg lager. And then the sales went from, pretty good to non-existent. In other words, I talked to a store manager. He said it was solid. Like people would buy it, it would move. We'd get new shipments in. You'd see the tall cans at the convenience store. He said, and then they changed the name to Faubourg, and it went to stop, drop, and roll. In other words, it went from selling pretty well to not selling at all, and they couldn't give it away. And now it's up in smoke, and that's good for them. Dixie shut down. Oh, yes, it's an empty property now. Dang, I didn't know that. It didn't last 4 years. Bunch of... Well, I guess they last 4.5 years, yeah. We used to talk about it all the time, institution here, but they betrayed the people and the people turned their back on them justifiably. Have you ever drunk the tequila with the worm? Yeah, John Mallory. That's not a tequila, that's a mezcal. No tequila has a worm in the bottle, but mezcal does. And I have 2 mezcals with the worm. I have the one from Licores Veracruz. I can't remember the name of the brand. Licores has a, and I have the Monte Alban from Sazerac, which is an insult. Yeah, mezcal, right? And people say, "Are you going to eat the worm?" And I'll tell them, "No, I don't eat I don't eat caterpillars." All right. The Dixie story was a great beginning and a horrible middle and a tragic ending. A nightmare. But what can you do? I can't control that. I did go tour their brewery a month before Hurricane Katrina. That was a very interesting. I wish I had my camera then. I would have taken videos. A month later, the hurricane, then the looting and the, it was terrible, horrible. All right. Okay. Did they add natural flavors to the El Paso? Yeah, the the El Toro. Yeah, but did it change it significantly? It tweaked it. Didn't really change it, so they weren't heavy-handed on it. Um, Honestly, if I was buying either one, I would get whatever one was cheaper. I wouldn't hesitate to buy the cheaper one. You say, what if it was 25 cents? I'd buy the one that was 25 cents less. You say, well, I don't want to be insulting, but what if it was 12 cents? Well, I would buy the one that was 12 cents cheaper. Now you say, oh, look, I don't want to go too far, but I would like to ask one more little question. What if it was 6 cents? I would buy the one that was 6 pennies cheaper. You say, well, maybe I've crossed the line, but what if it was a penny difference? Well, I would buy the one that was a penny cheaper. Okay, that's how close these are. Nice, laughing, heard that, laughing my anatomy off. Which of the Winn-Dixie branded liquors is your favorite? KS says. That's a good question. Let's see. I got to use the process of elimination. Certainly not the brand. It's certainly not the Canadian whiskey. That tastes like they went berserk with vanilla. It's not the silver or gold tequila. Don't think it would be the silver or gold rum. It's definitely not the blended Scotch whiskey, that atrocity. Well, I tell you what, I think it's the bourbon, the Winn-Dixie bourbon. It says Kentucky bourbon. Doesn't say sour mash. Doesn't say it's straight bourbon. It just says bourbon, aged 3 years. Is it a great bourbon? Sure, it's a great bourbon. It's $15.99 for a handle. Yeah, sure. Obviously, no one with a correct line of thinking would believe that. Is it an okay bourbon? It's okay. It can. Well, no, it can't really compete, but it's all right. It's okay. It's all right. It's not terrible. So I would get the bourbon. If I had to get any Winn-Dixie brand, I would get the bourbon. Now, I haven't had the vodka. I haven't had the 100 proof vodka, and I haven't had their gin, so I can't comment on those. Haven't had those. Haven't any of the liqueurs or anything. All right, so I cannot comment on that. Not trying to read your thoughts, but did you find the product Winter Ride bland? Well, it wasn't exactly bursting with flavor, but I didn't hate it. Do you? Okay, now Lurk says, do you know any good books about the history of India and the British Empire? I read long ago that, like the 1700s, India's GDP was like 30% of the world. A lot of people blame the British Empire for that falling, but the British Empire also brought a lot of progress towards India. And many think they would not be as successful in the modern world without it. Well, yeah, that's a controversial topic. They were very disorganized, and they had a central government that had no centralized power. You know what I mean? They were theoretically a central government. So there was like chaos in a way, really. So it was like they just walked in and took over without a whole lot of effort. Books to read. I can't think of any on hand. I read a book. I can't remember the title, so I'd be thinking all day. There's a book called End of Empire. It was a companion to a television series in England, End of Empire. It was about how the British Empire got transformed into the Commonwealth of Nations, which was really by design. They had said they were going to do that in the 1800s. Talk about Rhodesia and all that. But that's very interesting. That's a good book. I read that book when it came out, 1985. You can learn a lot from that book. some people say that technically the end of the British Empire was the June 1997 when they turned over Hong Kong. But well, those are good books to read. I don't know. I just read like the government websites. Those are even better than the books. Like I'll read government.canada.au Australia.New Zealand.UK. You can get a lot of good information from the primary sources, actually, if you've got patience and you want to read a lot of documents. Many more Indian immigrants come into Canada lately, so I'm trying to learn more about the history and find common ground because things are pretty tense between Anglo-Canadians and Indian Canadians. Really? I didn't realize that. John Mallory says, Jay, you haven't had the tequila with the... I don't know what you're talking about. Thanks. Good recommendation. Jay, what are your thoughts on Carter's presidency and legacy? Well, my thoughts on Jimmy Carter's presidency is like even a broken clock is correct twice a day. So if you have a clock and it's stuck on 8 o'clock, it will be correct twice a day. It'll be 8 o'clock a.m. and 8 o'clock p.m. So he did a handful of things that were worthwhile, like deregulating the beer industry, which allowed craft beer to start, deregulating the airlines and trains, and well, I thought it was a good idea to tell people to set their thermostat at 78. It made things a little warm in the restaurants and stores, but I mean, people run the air conditioner too much. He was trying to say conserve electricity, but he was like of that ilk that it's an energy crisis. We're going to all die in 1990 from no oil. And he was a dictatorial, self-promoting, know-it-all. So ultimately, he was pretty bad. I don't have any personal animosity towards him, but that was his style: dictatorial, micromanaging, self-aggrandizing, know-it-all, prickly, off-putting guy. So his presidency was not too successful. All right. Here's some animals either fighting outside or being killed outside. So I would give Jimmy Carter's presidency a good, healthy D minus. D minus. Do these WD branded liquors sell well in Louisiana compared to their nationwide counterparts? I don't know how they sell well relative to their counterparts, but they do sell well in Louisiana, definitely. Do you believe in the death sentence for someone who is convicted? Well, the death sentence, the Catholic Church has said, let's get rid of the death sentence. Yeah, basically, a lot of people feel we were very irresponsible with immigration during the Liberal government. We can't really support all the people we imported. Yeah, that's definitely true. And some Canadians kind of feel like they're being replaced. Oh, Donald Trump might get elected president of Canada, right? There's a tequila. All right. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not even going to mention that. All right. All right, now I have to call it. I would say for all practical purposes, there's no real difference. So adding flavoring, that might have, adding natural flavors might have changed something, but I don't know what that would have been, what that change would have been. But yeah, okay, do it. Do it. Do it. Don't do it. Most people don't care because most people probably don't lay in bed at night thinking about El Toro. But even though it's been on the market 65 years. But I'm going to say that this is the Winn-Dixie and that's the El Toro by virtue of this one might have a little bit more tweaked flavor, but that's questionable at best. But I'm going to say Winn-Dixie here. If it's got letter M for the main product, M for the main, C for the competitor, you see how I label it, then I'm right. Oh, it's the El Toro. It's the competitor. I got it wrong. Well, not much of a tragedy, but it is incorrect. So that's the way it goes, I guess. So I got one. What do I have? One win, one loss. I think I just started the tequila. Yeah, one win, one loss. So I'm not too worried about it because I've got Tijuana coming up tomorrow. Tijuana is a pure tequila, but then they're both pure tequilas, so that could be a trepidation. Could be trepidation, right? But yeah, but that'll be a challenge. And then I've got so I got the Tijuana, which has always been a Sazerac brand, also from Gonzalez and Gonzalez, probably always contracted by them. And then I've got the Montezuma, same thing. You might go to the grocery store, see Montezuma tequila with natural flavors. You might see Montezuma imported tequila. I got the tequila, not the with the flavors. Um, and then I've got Jose Cuervo Silver. There's no way Winn-Dixie will compete with that. That's impossible. And then I've got Cuervo Tradicional, 100% agave. Well, it's very impossible that that could happen. That's not even a video worth watching. That'll be a decimation, an exact extrapolation, and a conglomeration. But I'll still do it, you know. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Let's see. Last comments. How do you keep your liquors, particularly whiskeys, from oxidizing as they sit for years? Well, no, they don't ever oxidize. It never happens. They always taste the same. There's no downgrade with those. I don't think liquor is like beer. You know, beer will turn nasty after a few years. I've tasted so many old beers. They're just nasty, horrible, a nightmare. But the liquors, they seem to hold their own, you know. And I don't lay these things out. I don't lay these bottles out in the light where they're totally exposed. I just keep them in the dark as much as possible, and not too hot, not too cold. Of course, Louisiana is never too hot, never too cold. But yeah, they hold up pretty well. Actually, they hold up quite well. Burley Sullivan says, "You." Oh, Burley, cheers back to you. All right, so get ready for tomorrow, and we've got the Tijuana. There are 12 or 13 people around this whole world, around the whole world. There are 12 or 13 people that love Tijuana tequila. KS says, I remember you said the WD Scotch was okay initially, but the taste went downhill quickly after being opened. No, it wasn't. Oh, yeah. I think, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. With these really low level, low grade, if you want to call them low grade liquors, I see where you're going at. When you let them breathe and they get exposed to air, I think that brings out some characteristics of them that are not very favorable. But if you did like a Johnny Walker double black or a Cutty Sark Prohibition edition, or even the Glenlivet 12 single malt, you could repeatedly open those and they would never change. They'll never change. But you take some of these questionable products, and some of them are very questionable, and you let them get exposed to oxygen and they will degrade. At least to me, they degrade. They go downhill quick. Yeah, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. Oh, yes. That's a common thing. I don't think it's because whiskey degrades because of oxygen, although it might. I'm not a scientist. I think it's because these really cheap liquors, these super cheap liquors, degrade because of oxygen. Yes, I think that's probably the key. Jay, here's Jason Cleveland from Washington State. Jay, how come 12 years was selected as the popular aging for single malt Scotch whiskies? Have no answer. I have no idea why that was. Multiple of 3. You ever notice that grocery stores, everything's in a multiple of 3, right? It's like a 6-pack or a 12-pack or an 18-pack or a 15-pack or a 30-pack. They're probably all Freemasons. Oh, and it's something to do with Kabbalah. All right, did you know that clear liquor are generally healthier? Says Little Cynic. I did not know that. Okay, well, I do like 12-year age Scotch. I'll admit it. Not that I have a lot. I have some. But so we'll be back tomorrow with another it won't be a fiasco. It'll be a real challenge. It will be a real challenge. Not that many people care about that, but it will be a challenge because I got some well, value priced, budget friendly brands coming up. And then I have a little bit better stuff coming in at the end. Yes. All right. Bye bye.